Welcome to PKC This Week. Where we talk all things professional kennel club. Found only on Cane Stream Media. Brought to you by Elite Nutrition, Joy Dog Food, and the Professional Kennel Club. Now, let's start the show.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is PKC this week. I am joined by Shane Patton. We got a good one for you today. Shane, I think we should talk a little bit of Youth Nationals. That just come up. We got the $100,000 hunt coming up at the end of the month. And we got a really good rules question that me and you were just discussing off air. But let's start with Youth Nationals. What a turnout.
Couldn't ask for a better week of hunting in Western Kentucky. Great turnout. I don't remember exactly the total. I guess I should. 64, 56, and 53, whatever that math adds up to. It was the biggest youth nationals we've ever had. Gosh, the Paducah Club, Yant, even Josh, I'm going to give credit where credit's due. Even Josh stepped up and gosh, made it a great event. Joy, huge sponsor, of course. Wade was there and got to talk to the kids a little bit and give them some wisdom. But it was a great event, great week. A lot of hard work goes into it. I don't think people realize, unless you've put one of these on, people do not realize the amount of work it takes to put the stinking things on. We had non-hunting judges every cast. There was not a cast that didn't have a non-hunting judge, which is great for the youth. So Yant, Brandon Berry, Brantley Berry, both Buchanan boys, Wade and Ryan, all were there helping. Gosh, Yant had so much stuff donated and bought. And we gave away lights and dog leads for 20 minutes before every night. So the effort was great, but the parents, that's who we really need to thank. Parents, Louisiana, Missouri, Arkansas, South Carolina, North Carolina, they were from all over, driving 6, 8, 10 hours to bring their kid to youth event. That's outstanding. You can't, it does, and that's the real winners, is the parents who are willing to bring their kids on a Wednesday night in June to Paducah, Kentucky, to a coon hunt.
And what a final cast too.
Oh my gosh, yes. I mean, a shootout. But I mean, it was, for an hour cast, that was a shootout. I mean, that's
yes. When you score, what did we score? 4 or 5 coons in an hour?
I think 4.
And dogs scattered. Dogs scattered everywhere. Dogs treat at the end of the hunt. Nail biter at the end. Little Max Rivers nervous wreck going into that last deal.
Exactly. Yeah. The Jacob, was setting in pretty good shape, and then Max pulled her out at the end, and they scored that tree. It was a circle tree. I don't mean that, but I don't think they looked a real long time.
No, I'm sure there was a coon there.
I bet there was.
I mean, Boo Boo looked up all the time. Jack had been walking around all night. Jack's like, it don't matter, Boo Boo. Come on, let's go.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that would have been number 5 if that was there. In an hour cast. And the weather wasn't the best last week. If we're going,
it was wet. Oh my gosh, it was wet. I just today unloaded some of the stuff in the truck and Jace's boots still got water in them, I think.
Exactly. But outstanding job all the way around. Coverage was good. Great venue, great help from the club. Great group of kids. And I know there's a lot of them. And me and Chris talked about this, and I don't want to forget Chris either, because Chris drove out to Missouri and worked his tail off with me for 4 days. Without Chris, it's really hard to do. So give some props to Chris. But, it was I lost my whole train of thought when I thanked Chris right there. I lost my whole train.
Well,
Thanks,
I wanted to
Chris.
think Chris has got the best dad speech or parent speech.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
That's
I
what
mean,
he's there for
he's,
mainly.
he always says, and he said it. You've heard it as much as anybody. This is your warning. You're not getting one out
Yeah,
there. This is the warning.
exactly.
And I don't think we had many problems to speak of with the parents. I think the judges did a
No.
good job, and the parents did a good job
Yeah, and
of
it's so important for the judges because a lot of these parents are top handlers. You look at
absolutely.
well, Max, for instance, Boo Boo's out there. I'm out there. I don't want to call myself in the same level as, but I've been in enough cast. I know what's going on.
Sure, sure,
I'm out there with my kids and stuff, and so yeah, we're in a habit of giving what the judge takes us, whether we're handling our kids handling whatever. You know how hard it is for me to just be like, huh?
yeah,
But hey,
exactly.
all the judges in my cast that I spectated, anytime me and Creed, because you're not going to go through a whole cast without talking to your kid.
Sure,
It's
sure,
impossible.
yeah,
And so, especially in the preteens, you're handling their dogs and stuff. And anytime Credence wanted to come look at the tracker or anything, all the judges were really good about looking at me, make sure I wasn't giving her any unsolicited
sure,
advice or saying,
sure.
hey, you hear your dog over there or something like that. Trust me, I wanted to really bad.
Exactly, exactly.
But the judges
Well,
did great. And the cast that I judged, the parents did great. And so we had no issues out there with that in any of the casts I was involved in.
yeah, very good week. No issues with the parents, and I commend the parents for that as well because,
Yeah.
like you just said, I got kids, you got kids. We want them to be successful,
Yeah.
so if we can help them, sure we will. But in that case, just let them learn the lesson,
Yep.
whatever it is, and they'll be better tomorrow for it,
Yeah,
100%.
it's better. It's better for them. Kids did a good job. Parents did a good job. Went off without a hitch. If
Yeah,
people want to listen to all the sponsor list on Tree Dog Tuesday on the Field by Joy Working Dog podcast, I read through the whole list of every sponsor. I know Sun Spotlights gave $400 copperheads to every single kid in the Final Four.
yeah,
Conkeys donated the stuff. Of course, Joe or Joy and everybody that was there with them. So yeah, there's a lot of sponsors. You
yeah.
guys want the whole list, and go ahead and check out the podcast. I read them all off. So
Yeah,
but
and we
yeah,
need to,
going.
we want to thank those guys as well. And I know I have,
Yeah.
Dustin James,
Oh
George.
yeah.
You can go on, and I don't want to miss anybody. So,
Yeah.
but the list is there, and we appreciate those guys so much.
Yep. Switching gears to a little higher priced event, $100,000 available at the end of the month at Junction, Illinois.
Mhm.
Um, it's going to be hot and wet, I'm guessing.
It's you've got the hot right, and it's already wet. So yeah,
Yeah.
they were looking at the forecast. It's gonna warm up. It's gonna warm up starting today actually here,
Yeah.
and I don't see it probably ending my next Friday. Um,
Mm,
the wet weather has kind of subsided a little bit. We actually missed quite a bit of rain yesterday
good.
and missed it
Good.
to the north. So I think it could dry out in the next week. Um, but it's going to be hot. I wouldn't worry about the hoodie. I think you can probably leave the hoodie,
Yes.
the hoodies at
But
home.
that's a lot of the guys have been there that are hunting in
Oh,
this hunt have been there. This is what, it's fourth year, third year,
yeah,
fourth year,
yeah,
something like
yeah,
that.
yep,
And
yeah.
so it's been hot down there every year.
It has. It has.
I
It's
mean,
nothing new.
every year it's 90 degrees at dark.
Hmm.
I think it's, we all hate it and we all complain, but we all also got time to get our dogs ready to be prepared and ourselves to be prepared for 90-degree heat at night and humid and all that stuff. And those big bottoms, corn's going to be popping now like crazy after all your rain and everything.
Yeah.
It's
It's
going to
it's
be miserable.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. It's gonna be warm. There's no
Yeah.
doubt, and it's always warm, like you said.
Yes.
I don't think there's been a year where it's not been fairly warm. But you know, when you got 100,000 on the line, you can sweat a little bit and
Yes.
probably be all right. We can
Yep.
buy a new shirt when it's over if we need
Exactly.
to. So um,
Those
it's
entries
a
sell out. Everybody knows it's going to be hot. Everybody knows it's going to be fairly damp in places, but those entries sell out like crazy as soon as you put
absolutely.
them up.
I think I think the first day this year they were gone. I don't think
Yeah.
it went to the second day at all. I think first day they were gone first
Yeah.
little bit. But it's a good hunt. Jarvis is the reason we're doing this.
Hmm.
Jarvis is the reason that we're able to do this. It was his idea, his dream, to compete, and to come up with a registry that does compete, and we're still living off of that today. What Jarvis
Yeah.
did, Roger. Uh, Larry, then Roger kind of kept the torch going, but Jarvis was number one. He was the founder, the inventor of this of this stuff that we love to
Yep.
do, and it's a to give away $100,000 in his honor is a pretty big deal.
Yep.
It was something that I'm sure he would have loved to have seen it come to truth, but the 100,000, that's a pretty big deal for anybody. And some people say, well, that's not life changing. That's life changing to
That's life changing to me.
me too. I mean, it's life changing to. There's probably some that it's not, but most
Yeah.
it is. And we should have some good hunting and got our judges lined up. So I think it'll be a good week. I think it'll be a good weekend, and hopefully the weather cooperates. I hope it's
Yep.
not monsoon or 140 degrees, but
Hmm.
look forward to it.
Yeah. I mean, there ain't nothing we can do with the weather. The hunt's
No,
always full. The hunt always goes pretty well.
yeah,
Other than that fiasco last year in Bush's cast, which
I'm,
God bless Bush, one of the best judges out there, been doing it a long time, knows what he's doing. But talk about an unfortunate chain of events that
yeah,
took place there. But
I'm
I
not
think
even.
the right dog ended up getting in last year. Everything worked out. It always does. We've had some
Yes.
very good hunts down there. I'm not a big fan of the hunting at Junction. I think the style of dog that I have that we compete with up here does not fare well down there. We
I understand. You know,
giant cornfields,
yeah,
bean fields, things like that that my
sure.
dogs love to just trail around in all night, happen
Yeah.
to be everywhere right there.
I think what you're saying is we've got better dogs down here. Is that what you're trying to say? Is that
You got different dogs. Bring them up here, I'll mop you.
that's true?
While
That's
they're out there deep and lonely, I've done treated 4 coos.
right behind us the
Yeah,
whole time. Yeah,
exactly.
but
So
no,
no, it's different hunting. I mean,
oh,
it's
without a
different hunting,
doubt,
but it's good. It is good hunting.
absolutely. And you can
Yeah,
get, we've got fields here that are 300 or 400 acres wide and long. You get a dog out
yeah.
there. I mean, just turn a human loose out there in the field, they're going to be lost. They're going to try to
Oh
get
yeah,
everywhere. I mean, that's
yeah,
just the nature of the beast. But we've got a pretty good coon crop this year, and I think it'll be a good hunt. I think it'll be a
yeah.
good time.
And like I said, it's the fourth year of that. It's not like when nobody's ever hunted around Shawneetown Junction, all that stuff.
Exactly.
We
Exactly.
should be able to prepare for it properly and get out
I'm
there anyway. But
yep. I
another
believe.
point to Jarvis and to Michael Moody, we call it the $100,000 hunt all the time, and that is a habit I need to break too, because this is the Jarvis Umphers Memorial. The one in Mississippi is the Michael Moody Memorial.
Mhm.
Of course, Jarvis, the brainchild behind all of this and what we're doing now, and then Michael, very instrumental into the first $100,000 PKC hunt too. So very
Absolutely.
fitting to both of those guys.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more, and a good little tribute to them for what
Yep.
they did for our sport, because both of them were, like you said, instrumental. Well, the
Yes.
founder of PKC and the founder of the $100,000 hunt, you
Yep.
might as well say. So,
Yep.
and good people, not just
Very good.
very
Yes.
good people. Good people.
All right. Rule question time, Shane. We
All
got a
right.
good one. It is the stationary rule, another rule that is applied mostly correctly.
Yep.
But there are some confusion in during and all that. Now the stationary rule used to be 6 minutes. It moved to 5
Mhm.
here a while back. Why don't you just explain it from start to finish on when it is applied, how it's used, and all that good stuff?
Yep. Well, it's pretty simple applying it. Obviously, if the
Yeah.
dog is stationary, is not moving, you put the stationary rule on them. And so they got 5 minutes to tree or be scratched, whichever they
Yeah.
choose. Unless the dog obviously moves and then the stationary's broke. The That's all pretty simple and everybody pretty understands that. The thing that people get kind of confused on is when they're running a stationary and another dog becomes declared treed.
Mm-hmm.
As long as that cast stands in that spot where the stationary was running, the stationary will run. But as soon as they take a step to score that other dog, the stationary will be broke immediately.
Yeah.
And when we say broke, it's not stopped. You're not going to come back and restart it where you resumed. I have somebody ask me that one time. No, once it's broke, it's down to zero. And if you come
Mm-hmm.
back, you have to start a brand new
Start a
watch.
new one.
Uh, and but the key to that is when you take off, it must be broke. That's what it says in
Yep.
the rule. In the process of or scoring a tree, as soon as you take off, that process has started. You're going to JoJo, who's been declared tree. And the little caveat that you talked about earlier was if you've got 405 gone on the stationary and a dog is declared treed, you're going to stand there for a minute
Mm-hmm.
and let the second and third tree become dead on the dog that was just declared treed. Well, in that minute, this stationary is going to come up and the stationary will continue working that whole time. And you're going to have to make a call, either tree or
Yeah.
get scratched. Because what I want to emphasize is just because a dog is treed, the stationary is not automatically broke. It
Yeah.
is when you take that step to take off, that's when it's broke.
And we've
And
heard
it's
well, you can judge it, the stationary should still run, but the minute we're walking, or the
absolutely
split second that we're walking, as soon as we take off walking to score another dog, stationary's broke.
broke.
And
And
it restarts if you go back at some other point and that dog's still treed or something like that, and there's nothing declared
absolutely.
treed. Yeah.
And I know people and I'm not saying they can't. I could, you could. You got a dog treat here and 50 yards over there, you've got another dog treat.
Yeah.
We're scoring this treat. Your mind wants to run a stationary. Well, it plainly says in the rule, do not stationary must be broke. You can't be run if you're scoring a tree or in the process. So and I know it can be done. Like I said, it's easy to tell that dog's 50 yards over there, whether he's moving or not, but you cannot start it until that tree's scored. You've walked a minute and now you can
And you're
start
standing still. Yep.
standing still. So it's a rule that it's most of the time used correctly, but there is a little confusion sometimes when to
Yeah.
break that stationary that's going.
And throughout all of the blue book, the minute after you score a tree and you walk your minute, that is part of scoring the tree. So anything that can't be done while you're scoring a tree can't be done during that minute that you're walking that dog either.
If you're walking, you're not running the stationary.
Right.
That's the bottom line.
Yeah,
That's the
exactly.
easy way to remember.
And what if the stationary runs out, the handler does not tree? What's the process then?
Turn around and say, "Sir, you're scratched." that's
But
basically the process. I
but
mean,
you still got to walk in there and see, because I mean, if my dog's balling around, or maybe it's in the ground, or maybe it's kind of
there is nothing that says I have to go
nothing.
in there and see that dog is declared. I mean,
Perfect.
I've gave you 5 minutes to tree your dog. We all know that it's treed right here. When the stationary is up, we're not walking in to see the dog. You're scratched. You can go get your dog and go to the truck.
Perfect.
And I know there's a little confusion about that too. And I'm glad
Yep.
you brought that up. People think we've got to walk in and see when that stationary's up, that dog is scratched.
Yep.
He has not been declared treed. Go get your dog.
And then ways to break a stationary, or obviously if a dog's moving, and then explain the 2-minute rule real quick too, because there's multiple 2-minute rules all over. PKC stuff to explain this one.
Exactly. And the 2-minute rule is very similar to the 2-minute rule after you've treed. The only difference is in this 2-minute rule, if the dog is quiet for 2 minutes, then the stationary is broke, regardless of where he opens up next. Opens up treed again at 2:01, you must start the stationary all over again. Obviously, if the dog barks left or right, start the stationary. Or I'm sorry, break the stationary. And one thing that happens, and it's bad timing or whatever, the stationary is going, and the dog shuts up at 4:30, and the 2 is working on the 5. So 2's working. Now, this was a rule that was put in not too awful long ago. You got 3 barks after the dog opens to either tree the dog
or get scratched.
Yeah. Or the third option is he's now running and the stationary's broke.
Yeah.
But and that's something that happens a little bit, and it's kind of confusing. People get down to the end and then the dog shuts up for 15 or 20 seconds at the wrong time, right at the end of the stationary. You got 3 barks. you better do it on the 3rd
Yeah.
or you're in trouble.
I thought it was next bark. I always judged it next bark.
Yeah.
And so now,
Well,
now even I know it's 3.
see, you've got 3 barks to determine whether he's moving or
Yeah,
not, because as a
exactly.
judge, obviously, things are happening fast. So 3 barks is not long if it happens quick for you to tell whether he's running or not, but that's the rule.
Yep. All right. I like it. We learn something new every day. Anything else you got to add before we shut this off? I know everybody's busy. I'm trying to get all my stuff ready to go down to Junction as well. It's going to be a good time. I definitely got to get the air conditioner fixed in the camper.
Yeah, that's going to be a number 1 on the
That's
list.
top priority.
Yeah,
Next thing to do list.
I appreciate everybody coming out and supporting us at the Youth Nationals. Look forward to seeing everybody next week, and we'll go support a PKC hunt this weekend somewhere.
All right. Thanks, Shane. We'll see you at the
Appreciate
next
it,
one, buddy.
guys. All right.